The fantasy of a hostile foreign nation launching a full-scale invasion of the United States has been a common trope in fiction now for decades. And while the idea of a foreign power invading the United States has been around since the nation's founding, the modern fictional trend of depicting a foreign invasion of the country sort of dates back to the release of the movie Red Dawn in 1984, which depicts a joint Soviet, Cuban, Nicaraguan, and Mexican ground invasion of the United States over the Mexican border after Mexico undergoes a communist revolution that installs a Marxist government in power there that grants the Soviets military access. We all know that the United States is separated from any major rival by two vast oceans. And we all know that the US military is dramatically more powerful than any rival is. We've all been watching how terrible the Russian invasion of Ukraine has been going for the past 2+ years now. And that's a country that's directly next door to Russia that has thousands of kilometers worth of land borders, let alone what an invasion of a much bigger country over on the other side of the world would look like. We all generally know that a big foreign invasion of the United States is impossible. But what most of us don't really appreciate is just how utterly, laughably impossible it actually is, when you really start digging into the specifics of it. And I will argue in this video that even if the entire rest of the outside world combined joined all of their populations and military assets to cooperate on a mission to invade and conquer the United States, it would still be completely impossible for them to all actually pull it off. And here are all of the many, many reasons why that's the case. First of all, any attempted invasion of the United States would have to immediately encounter the American nuclear defense strategy and doctrine, which all on its own would immediately halt any invasion attempt from the outside world. You see, the United States utilizes a nuclear triad defense doctrine, a three-legged strategy that involves land-based, sea-based, and air-based nuclear weapons scattered all across the world that would be logistically impossible for anyone, no matter how strong, to fully eliminate before the United States could retaliate. 8 of these nuclear-armed strategic missile submarines are home-ported in Bangor, Washington, nearby to Seattle, while the other 6 are home-ported in Kings Bay, Georgia, nearby to Jacksonville, providing the U.S. strategic submarine fleet with major bases of operations in both the Pacific and the Atlantic. Each of these strategic submarines are powered by an advanced nuclear reactor on board, which enables the subs to operate effectively indefinitely without the need to ever refuel. This is how, on average, each of the subs will spend about 77 days continually at sea and underwater out on patrol, followed by around 35 days back at port in either Georgia or Washington for maintenance before going back out on patrol again. Because of this rotating cycle of patrol and maintenance, the US Navy maintains around 8 of these strategic missile submarines scattered all around the world's oceans at any given time, 365 days a year. In terms of naval assets, other than France, the United States is the only country in the world that operates nuclear-powered aircraft carriers. And while France only has 1 of these nuclear-powered carriers, the United States currently has 11 of them. There are 27 aircraft carriers currently in service worldwide across every country's navy. And all of them outside of the American and French navies are powered with traditional diesel or gasoline fuel. This enables America's carriers to hypothetically run continually without the need to refuel themselves for up to 25 years. With the need to find a port to refuel for oil eliminated, the only limiting factors for a US carrier deployment are shore leave and food stores. And food stores can be provided by helicopters to the carrier if they really don't want to stop at a port and extend their mission length. And then, if the carriers weren't enough, there's also America's submarine fleet for any potential invader to consider as well. In addition to America's fleet of 14 strategic missile submarines that carry their nuclear weapons, the country has 50 advanced nuclear-powered attack submarines within its fleet as well, which are designed to stealthily seek out and destroy enemy submarines and surface vessels, and to project power with onboard Tomahawk cruise missiles and special operations forces, where more than 60% of the civilian population in all 3 of these states are reported to own firearms, and where the geography in western Montana, Wyoming, and all across Idaho is extremely mountainous and rugged, meaning that any invading army coming from this direction would be effectively faced with an Afghanistan-style insurgency problem. And even worse from an invader's perspective here, because of how difficult it is to settle anywhere on the Canadian Shield and build any infrastructure across it, there's only one single highway that connects the 2 population cores of Canada to the east of the Shield and to the west of the Shield, the Trans-Canada Highway. And this problem is Canada's Achilles heel when it comes to potentially supporting an invasion into the United States, because the Trans-Canada Highway converges in the city of Winnipeg in Manitoba. All the US military has to do in order to split Canada into 2 separate halves is to advance just far enough across their own border to seize and occupy Winnipeg. which would also leave Canada's core around Toronto, Ottawa, and Montreal incapable of logistically supporting the Western theater with any resupplies of troops, with the undeveloped Canadian Shield to the north and the US itself to the south. This single action by the US military would crush any invading army's ability to ever get supplies and logistics to an invasion force coming from this direction, with a massive US Air Force would just simply bombard the remaining length of the Trans-Canada Highway relentlessly that would eliminate any advancing columns of troops and armor rolling along it.